Like a lot of people today, I'm overwhelmed by emails. So a couple times on a daily basis, log on, and I delete like 98% of them without even reading them all the way through. But today, I received two that were a gift. The first was from Michael Robin, asking how I was doing this gloomy Saturday and reminding me about the storytelling submission deadline. And the second one was from a group I belong to, the Hellenic American Educators. And I belong to this group because of my mother's legacy. People judge you by the company you keep. And I've translated that into be surrounded by a good class of people. And let me tell you, the educators are a great class of people. Well, we would occasionally meet in person, but because of the pandemic, everything is online, and they share stories of information as well as inspiration. And the email I received forwarded from one of its members just knocked me out. It's about wisdom and lessons learned, and 5 little short stories, and one was just magnificent. It was a young boy, and I could visualize me and him. He goes into a luncheonette around lunchtime, and waitress comes over, and what would you like? How much does an ice cream sundae cost? And she said, that's 50 cents. And he counted his change on the counter, and he did the math. He said, well, how much does a scoop of vanilla ice cream? And she said, that's 35 cents. And she was getting a little impatient because it was getting busy. And he said, that's what I'll have. Well, she gave me ice cream and the check. He ate it, and he paid in change for the 35 cents. And when she lifted the check, underneath was 2 nickels and 5 pennies, her tip. She cried. That really resonates with me because tips were an integral part of my growing up. We live in a crowded railroad flat. My 4 brothers, 2 sisters, mom, dad, and grandparents. And we East Flatbush section of Brooklyn over Harry Killerman's laundromat. And when I was about 11 or 12, in the early 60s, I started joining my older brother Jimmy and became his pool of delivery boys. He wouldn't have to ring the doorbell if he needed one of us. Just step out of the laundromat, cup his hands to his mouth, and yell out, any of you boys want to make maybe 15 cents to deliver a bundle? Well, let me tell you, in the early 60s, 15 cents was a magical number. Oh, you could buy a large bottle of soda, a delicious slice of pizza. That was the cost of a big container of coffee, and or a ride on the bus or the New York City subway. And further, when I returned from Vietnam in 1970 and still trying to find my way, I ended up working in my father's luncheonette on Flatbush Avenue for a while. And it was a Z&T luncheonette next to the Loewy's Kings, and was in walking distance of home. So I worked there 6 days a week, and worked fairly long hours, but I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. And every time I think of it, my legs hurt because you are constantly standing. And I can only imagine my father, having worked a lot more hours, how his legs held up. But anyway, I can still remember the daily specials. Monday was pepper steak. Monday was meatloaf. Tuesdays was pepper steak. Wednesdays was meatballs and spaghetti. Thursdays was corned beef and cabbage. Fridays was frozen fish, usually deep fried, and Saturday was beef stew. And a good meal with coffee cost you about $1.50, and people would generally leave you a quarter tip. Let me tell you, those quarter tips added up. With the money I had saved, I could have bought a house. Well, that's another story. And then I started a career eventually as an accountant. And I remember my mother's legacy of people judge you by the company you keep. And I always, with a good class of people, whether it's a storytelling here at the Katona Library with Michael Robin, or when I was doing it in the city with Philip Jambry, who worked with me, and also a war veteran, or Barbara Alaprantis, who was my mentor, and Penelope Karageorge with the Greek writers. And just wonderful. Oh, I also take advantage of the chair yoga here. Let me tell you, it's a wonderful gift. It's available to everybody. Be with a good class of people. I know I'm with the best. Thank you.